Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are tackling an incredibly important chapter for your ICSE Class 10 Geography syllabus today, and that's water resources. I'm really excited to guide you through this material because, well, water is quite literally India's lifeline. We're going to break down the geography, the different systems, and the solutions in a really focused, structured way so you can walk into your exam and master these concepts with absolute confidence. Let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Sources of water. 2. Why India needs irrigation. 3. Major methods of irrigation. 4. Water conservation. And 5. ICSE exam revision.
All right, let's dive straight into Section 1, Sources of Water. So let's map out where the water we actually rely on every single day originates, 0.03%. Now, you know we live on a blue planet, right? We're surrounded by massive oceans, but according to your textbook, a shocking 0.03% is the only water actually available to us as fresh water in our rivers, lakes, and streams. The rest of it is locked in oceans and is just way too salty for agriculture or drinking. It's wild to think about, but this tiny fraction is what sustains our entire massive population.
Now, that tiny fraction is basically divided into two main sources. The first is surface water. Just as the name implies, this is water found right on the surface of the Earth, so think rivers, lakes, and ponds. Geographically speaking, three immense northern rivers, the Ganga, the Indus, and the Brahmaputra, are the absolute powerhouses here. Together, they supply an astonishing 60% of India's surface water.
Our second source is groundwater, and this brings up a really sharp contrast. This is the water present beneath the Earth's surface, completely dependent on rainfall seeping down into the soil. While surface water is dominated by those massive northern rivers we just talked about, groundwater is heavily drawn upon for farming everywhere else. In fact, 60% of all our groundwater is used strictly for agriculture, even though it's super unevenly distributed across the country.
Moving on to Section 2, Why India needs irrigation.
This brings us perfectly to the core conflict of our explainer. If we have these mighty rivers and all these groundwater reserves, why on earth isn't natural rainfall enough? Well, before we look at the why, let's clearly define the what. Irrigation is essentially the hero of our agricultural narrative. It's defined as the process of supplying water to crops by artificial means, like canals, wells, and tanks, whenever natural rainfall falls short.
The crucial point here is that crops simply won't wait for the rain. So why do we need this artificial supply? First off, our famous southwest monsoon is highly unreliable. It often just fails to show up on time. Second, the rainfall we do get is incredibly uneven. You've got some places flooding, while others are facing severe drought. Third, rain is restricted mostly to just a 4-month window, from June to September. And finally, our winter crops literally cannot grow without artificial watering.
Let's jump to Section 3, Major Methods of Irrigation. To solve this massive problem, human ingenuity has stepped in over the centuries, developing multiple ways to distribute this precious resource. First up, you need to understand the broad categories because this is a high-yield exam topic. We're comparing primitive versus modern methods. Primitive methods, like your traditional wells and tanks, irrigate smaller areas and don't rely on modern machinery at all. Modern methods, on the other hand, like 2 wells and sprinklers, require machinery and electricity, but they have the huge advantage of irrigating much larger tracts of land really efficiently.
And this brilliantly illustrates another key difference, this time with canals. Inundation canals only have water during floods or the rainy season, simply because they don't have dams to regulate their flow. Perennial canals, however, draw directly from dams and multi-purpose river valley projects, which gives them an assured water supply all year round. And honestly, this is exactly why inundation canals are actively being converted into perennial ones all across the country right now.
Now, let's zoom in on groundwater extraction for a second. Traditional wells have a very low construction cost, and they give small farmers a lot of independence. But their supply is pretty limited. Tube wells, on the flip side, offer high discharge and can literally save entire crops during a drought because they reach much deeper water tables. However, and pay attention, this is a major exam point, the severe disadvantage of tube wells is that excessive use causes dangerous groundwater depletion and soil salinity over time.
Now, if we travel down to South India, the irrigation method changes entirely. You're almost certainly going to face a give geographical reason question on this. Why are tanks so popular in the South? Well, the answer is straightforward. The Deccan Plateau has this uneven terrain full of natural depressions that are absolutely perfect for collecting rainwater. Plus, the hard, non-porous rocks underneath prevent that water from seeping underground. That combo makes tanks incredibly effective in this specific geography.
Let's move over to the Northeast to see how geography inspires incredible traditional engineering. In Meghalaya, where steep slopes make standard groundwater channels pretty much impossible, tribes have used bamboo drip irrigation for over 200 years. It's genius. They locate a sloped stream, slice up bamboo shoots of varying sizes, create these zigzag channels downhill utilizing just gravity, and deliver water directly to the plant roots at about 20 to 80 drops per minute. No electricity, no pumps, just brilliant sustainable local adaptation.
All right, Section 4, Water Conservation and Scarcity.
With agriculture demanding so much water across all these diverse terrains, we really have to shift our focus to the stark reality of water scarcity. What exactly is causing this? Well, your textbook outlines a few primary human-driven causes. First, our rapidly growing population just drastically increases the baseline demand. Second, we are heavily overexploiting our resources for intense irrigation and rapid industrialization. Add to that the unequal distribution among social groups and the tragic pollution of the freshwater resources we actually do have, and yeah, we face a severe crisis.
The most vital objective to combat this crisis is rainwater harvesting. And this isn't just about putting a few buckets out in the rain. It's defined as the deliberate process of increasing the recharge of our depleted groundwater by capturing and storing rainwater locally in subsurface reservoirs. Think of it like putting water back into a savings account for the earth.
But conservation also means changing how we farm. Take a look at this quote from agricultural expert Professor Ramanathan. He advises that during drier periods, farmers really need to stop cultivating water-heavy crops like rice and instead opt for crops like pulses, sunflower, sesame, and maize. Matching our crop selection to natural water availability is a massive part of true agricultural conservation.
Finally, Section 5, ICSE Exam Revision.
Okay, you guys have absorbed a lot of excellent geographical data today. Let's shift gears into active recall to make sure you are fully prepared to secure full marks on your board exams. Let's start with a classic multiple-choice style question straight from the question banks. Name the most reliable type of well in India in times of drought. Think back a few minutes to our breakdown of modern versus primitive methods. Any guesses?
If you guessed tube wells, you hit the nail on the head. Remember, traditional wells just dry up when the surface water table drops during a severe drought. Tube wells tap much, much deeper into the earth, completely bypassing those surface-level drought conditions to pull up life-saving water for the crops.
Next up, a landmark geographical project that is an absolute favorite for both theory and map-based ICSE questions. What is the Indira Gandhi Canal Project?
If you get asked to write a short answer on this, here are the exact, precise bullet points you need to jot down. 1. It's located in Rajasthan. 2. It draws its water from the Sutlej and Beas rivers. And 3. Its major achievement. It literally transformed portions of the harsh Thar Desert into cultivable green land. It is pretty much the perfect textbook example of canal irrigation totally changing a landscape.
We're going to leave you with this provocative thought to reflect on. As our population grows and demand continues to skyrocket, which method actually holds the ultimate key to our agricultural future? Is it the massive modern machine-driven approach like tube wells, which, as we know, risks severe depletion? Or is it the hyper-local, ancient, gravity-fed sustainability of things like bamboo drips? Perhaps the true answer lies in finding a balance between human intervention and natural conservation. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep studying smart and best of luck on your geography exams.